An Iranian ballistic missile landed a few hundred meters from the Western Wall, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. Three holiest sites of three world religions, and a warhead detonated close enough that Israel's foreign ministry immediately suspended all prayer at every holy site in the city. A separate Iranian missile struck the northern Israeli town of Zarzir, moderately wounding a woman and injuring 57 others. The IDF opened an investigation into whether the missile hit the ground directly or whether Israel's multi-billion-dollar defense system failed to fully intercept it. That investigation will involve examining the missile debris. And when investigators examine Iranian missile debris, they consistently find something that should make every American taxpayer physically sick. American-made components. Circuit boards designed in California. Microprocessors manufactured in Texas. Navigation chips fabricated in American factories, sold to American allies, and somehow ending up inside Iranian weapons that are now landing on Israeli cities. This is not speculation. This is documented. And the pipeline runs directly through Turkey. In 2023, the U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned a network of Turkish companies that had been funneling American-origin dual-use technology to Iran's military procurement agencies. These were not weapons manufacturers. They were electronics distributors, trading companies, and logistics firms that purchased commercially available American-made components on the open market and then reshipped them to Iranian front companies operating out of Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, and Tehran. Microcontrollers, inertial measurement units, signal processors, accelerometers, every single component you need to build a precision guidance system for a ballistic missile, all of it American-designed, all of it transiting through Turkish ports and Turkish bank accounts before arriving in Iranian weapons laboratories. The Halkbank scandal exposed this pipeline to the entire world. A Turkish state-owned bank was caught facilitating billions of dollars in transactions that allowed Iran to evade U.S. sanctions. Billions, not millions. The scheme involved gold transfers, fraudulent food and medicine transactions, and a network of front companies across multiple countries. A Turkish-Iranian gold trader named Reza Zareb was arrested in Miami in 2016 and cooperated with U.S. prosecutors, detailing how senior Turkish banking officials and government-connected businessmen ran an industrial-scale sanctions evasion operation that funneled money and goods to Iran for years. The scheme operated with the knowledge of senior Turkish officials. A Turkish banker was convicted in a New York federal court. And the pipeline did not stop after the arrests. It adapted. It changed routing. It used new companies, new intermediaries, new banks. Because the demand from Iran for Western technology never stopped, and the profit margins for Turkish middlemen were too large to walk away from. Now apply that supply chain to the current war, and the math becomes terrifying. Iran's missile arsenal contains an estimated 3,000 to 3,500 ballistic missiles of various ranges. The Shahab series, the Imad, the Ghadr, the Sejil, the Khaybar Sheikhan, the Fatah. Each generation more accurate than the last, each generation incorporating more sophisticated guidance technology. Iran does not manufacture its own advanced microprocessors. Iran does not fabricate its own high-end inertial navigation chips. Iran acquires these components from foreign sources, primarily through intermediary networks in Turkey, the UAE, Malaysia, and China. The U.S. Commerce Department has identified over 300 Iranian procurement agents operating in Turkey alone. 300 agents, each running their own network of shell companies, logistics providers, and financial intermediaries, all focused on acquiring Western technology and shipping it to Iran. And Turkey's position makes this pipeline almost impossible to shut down completely. Turkey is a NATO member. Turkey has the largest economy in the Middle East. Turkey processes trillions of dollars in legitimate trade annually. Identifying which of those transactions involves dual-use components destined for Iranian weapons programs is like finding a specific grain of sand on a beach. Turkish customs processes millions of shipping containers per year. A crate labeled industrial automation equipment could contain factory robots, or it could contain the exact same microcontrollers that guide a ballistic missile to a target 3,000 kilometers away. The components are identical because they are identical. The same chip that controls a factory assembly line can control a missile guidance system. That is what dual use means, and it is why export controls consistently fail to prevent proliferation. Here is the specific technology that matters most. An inertial measurement unit combines accelerometers and gyroscopes to track the position, velocity, and orientation of a moving object without external references like GPS. This is critical for ballistic missiles because GPS signals can be jammed, spoofed, or denied. A missile with a high-quality inertial measurement unit does not need GPS. It knows where it is based on its own internal sensors. The most accurate inertial measurement units in the world are manufactured by American and European companies. And these units have been found in Iranian missile debris recovered from attacks on Saudi Arabia in 2019, from drone debris recovered in Yemen, and from weapons seized by naval forces in the Arabian Sea. Every time a component is traced back to its manufacturer, the same pattern emerges. The company sold the component to a legitimate distributor. That distributor sold it to a trading company. That trading company was registered in Turkey, or the UAE, or Malaysia. That trading company shipped the component to a second intermediary. That intermediary shipped it to an Iranian front company. The front company delivered it to an IRGC-linked defense contractor. And 12 to 18 months later, that component is inside a missile flying toward a city. The time between a component leaving a factory in America and arriving inside an Iranian weapon is typically 18 to 36 months, which means the components inside the missiles Iran is firing right now in March 2026 were likely procured in 2023 or 2024, purchased while sanctions were in effect, purchased while export controls were supposedly preventing exactly this kind of transfer, purchased through networks that the U.S. Treasury, Commerce Department, and intelligence agencies knew about and had been trying to disrupt for years. And Turkey sits at the center of this pipeline for reasons that go beyond geography. Turkey maintains full diplomatic relations with Iran. Turkish and Iranian banks process bilateral trade. Turkish airlines fly direct routes to Tehran. Turkish companies operate freely in Iranian markets. And most critically, Turkey has consistently resisted American pressure to crack down on sanctions evasion networks operating on Turkish soil. When the U.S. sanctioned Turkish companies for facilitating Iranian procurement, Turkey's government protested. When Turkish nationals were arrested and prosecuted in American courts for sanctions violations, Turkey called it an infringement on Turkish sovereignty. The political relationship between Ankara and Washington has been strained for years over exactly this issue, and that strain has allowed the procurement pipeline to continue operating with minimal disruption. Now, here is today's reality. CENTCOM has confirmed 6,000 strikes on Iranian targets in 13 days. Iran has absorbed enormous damage. But Iran continues to launch ballistic missiles at Israel. Iran continues to send drone swarms across 6 countries. Iran continues to fire on commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. The IRGC continues to coordinate joint missile operations with Hezbollah. Iran's capacity to sustain military operations despite massive aerial bombardment is directly related to the depth of its weapon stockpiles and the sophistication of its missile technology. Both of those things exist in their current form because of a 2-decade procurement campaign that successfully acquired Western components through intermediary networks that were never fully dismantled. The missile that landed near Jerusalem's holy sites contained guidance technology that allowed it to navigate 990 miles from Iranian territory to a specific neighborhood in a specific city with enough accuracy to close every holy site in the area. That level of precision requires components that Iran does not manufacture domestically. Those components came from somewhere: the documented procurement networks, the sanctioned Turkish companies, the convicted Turkish bankers, the identified Iranian procurement agents operating in Istanbul and Ankara. All of them are part of the supply chain that put that warhead within a few hundred meters of the Western Wall. American technology, Turkish intermediaries, Iranian weapons, Israeli casualties. Every link in that chain involves an American ally, and the chain has not been broken. It has been sanctioned, investigated, prosecuted, and publicized, but it has not been broken. Because breaking it would require Turkey to choose between its economic relationship with Iran and its alliance with the United States, and for 20 years, Turkey has chosen not to choose. Today, the consequences of that refusal are measured in missile impacts on Israeli cities, drone strikes across 6 countries, and a war that grows wider with every passing hour. The components are already inside the weapons. The weapons are already in the launchers. The launchers are already firing. And the next missile is already built with parts that started their journey in an American factory.